Thank you so much for being here. As a school, what do you see as the three biggest challenges you face over the next year?
Recruitment. Is such an important area because I think getting your staffing right helps you get your culture right as a school, and that has to be first and foremost. I think secondly, finances. I think schools are finding things really difficult at the moment, knowing what they can and can't budget for and paying for teachers. And the third thing is around, if you get those two things right, it's about making sure your curriculum and the culture and ethos you have in your school maintains over those periods of time.
How has the recruitment of teachers and staff changed over the last few years, and what are some of the main challenges you've faced in this area?
I think the pool of teaching, let me start again. I think the pool of teachers have become really narrow, and I think there's been a large number of people retiring or leaving the profession, and there hasn't been that talent coming through, or the wealth of talent and the depth of talent that you would have had 10 years ago. So I think schools have had to become really agile in their approach to make sure that they are not saying what they want from the candidates, but actually what they can offer the candidates, and being very forthright in terms of being sure about how your vision and your culture and your ethos resonates with them as an individual. I think the other side of it as well is that you've got to be on the front foot. You've got to be preparing this, not waiting for resignation deadlines, not waiting for the cut-off dates. You've got to be recruiting from September all the way through to the following September, whereas I think probably 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you could make your adverts out in the normal sort of routines, but whereas now you've got to be networking, you've got to be using social media, you've got to be using the various mediums to get your message out there, because you have to drive that very carefully and hard, because no one else is going to share that message. I think the other side of it as well has been about word of mouth recruitment. So once we have lots of staff coming in for a coffee at the school just to come and see the school, and then we put them as part of our talent pool. So if a job does come available, we can then contact them, but also because people have been into our school, they can then share with other colleagues about the great experience they've had either on interview or just coming around and seeing what we're offering.
What strategies have you implemented to attract and retain high quality teachers and staff, and how successful have these strategies been?
I was joking with a group of head teachers the other day that I've just become a HR recruitment consultant and not a head teacher, because I think that you've got to try absolutely everything in your arsenal to get good quality people through your doors. And once they're through your doors, you've got to use all the basics to start with, of making sure that people resonate with your vision, you're honest, you have real integrity in what you're trying to show about your school, and it actually makes sense that when they come and walk around your school, they see it and they feel it very, very quickly. We do a lot around recruitment from colleagues to colleagues. So we do a lot around finder's fees and supporting colleagues who are referencing a friend that might want to apply for a job, or coming around to the school as well, because we believe that actually that word of mouth advertisement then gets out there. The other side of it is obviously being on the front foot and not relying on traditional strategies, and making sure that we are a leader in recruitment, which is why we obviously looked at socially. We've looked at obviously our own talent pools, our own websites, our own media sources. We're very active on Twitter. We're very active in bringing lots of dignitaries into the school community, such as Jeff Barton and Nicky Morgan, just to come and see what our messages are around. And they then give us their testimonials that showcase our school. And the other side of it as well is around surveying, talking to our staff quite a lot around how they feel our school community is going, and then showcasing what we do for things like wellbeing. So whereas maybe traditionally 10 years ago it might have been about what subjects you do, what degree you do, and the interview, our first question is tell us about yourself and how we can work with you and you can work with us, so they resonate with our community.
What role can technology play in addressing recruitment and retention challenges, attracting new talent and supporting existing staff?
I think if you're not forward thinking on using technology, with obviously the development of AI, social media, and the trends in social media and where people are looking, you're going to be behind the curve very quickly. And the reason for that is that you've got to be going to seek the members of staff that were looking for your school, not the other way around any longer. Whereas you were in the past putting an advert out for a post, expecting people to apply for it. Recruitment is now, you've got to get your message out there and then go and headhunt these people through the various mechanisms on social media. And obviously we've worked with Socially now for a number of years. We're one of the sort of first ones to come into this programme. We're developing it with Socially around. Currently we're using some form of social media, but social media changes almost daily, just speaking to my own students, not many of them use Facebook any longer. It's all Snap and Insta, and as such, we need to change our strategy. So it isn't Twitter and Facebook as our main mediums. It's now potentially Instagram, social media messages, word of mouth messages, getting out there regularly throughout the year to brand our school about what we do for staff here, for their well-being, for the culture, the ethos, so they enjoy their role here, because we believe at Kings Langley School, if we have a happy, healthy workforce, we will ultimately get great results and ensure that our children unlock their potential.
What advice would you give to other schools or trusts struggling with recruitment and retention challenges, and what lessons have you learned from your experience in this area?
Have a clear strategy and really plan that through. Make sure it's part of your school development plan and someone owns that, likely to be the head and the school business manager, together in synergy. Be proactive from day one in September and follow that all the way through to the following September. Evaluate what's working and what's not working. And really importantly, go out and seek the things that are market leaders in their areas. Don't rely on traditional sources anymore. Go out and get your message out. And my final thing, which is what we're really trying now to do, is to not focus on recruitment, but to focus on the brand of our school and the vision and ethos and culture we're trying to create for staff around their well-being, our culture, what it's like to teach here, and promote that throughout the year very actively.
You're one of the first adopters of Socially. Why did you decide to join us?
We were one of the first adopters because I really believe being a leader in this industry, if you're not the first one to adopt something, then you're already behind the curve. So we went with this, we trialled it, we did a small scale project with it, we saw its impact, which allowed us then to grow that project. We recognised that it would need 3 to 5 years once we had our initial pilot on it, and now we're taking it to the next level where we're using Socially to brand and market our school throughout the year, not just for recruitment, but so candidates can understand the culture and ethos that they're about to work in.
Can you tell us about your experience with Socially and how it has benefited your school?
Socially are a really flexible organisation that allows us to work in partnership with them to get our recruitment strategy and messages right. There's clear meetings that are set up throughout the year to ensure that the message and brand is on point. There's a clear evaluation of that, as what is working, what is not. The analytics allows us to really understand which marketing strategies are working, which ones aren't, so we can adapt them quickly. And it's just a great company to come and work with.
You're the first standalone school that proactively promotes your employer brand. Can you talk a little about why you decided to do that?
So almost going back to your first question about, I think you've got to be a market leader in terms of, or a leader in terms of this recruitment. You've got to try things, and we are trying it as a standalone academy, as your first standalone academy doing this, because we see that traditional routes of recruitment through social media, the tears, a variety of different medium sources are just one thread. What we're finding is that actually once we get our message out there to various people, they really want to come and work with us. So we've now developed a more bespoke strategy with you guys around making sure that our message and brand is out there from day one all the way through to the following year, to ensure that when we do need to recruit, we get our fields and we get the candidates, and ultimately they're happy to come and work for us. And going back to resonate with, we want a happy, healthy school with happy, healthy staff.
How has Socially helped solve any challenges or pain points Kings Langley School has faced?
I think it's part of a bigger picture, and I think it's one thread in the successful recruitment of staff. I was quite lucky, I went to Westminster to meet with Minister Gibb, and we were one of the only schools to be fully staffed when we were presenting around the issues with recruitment in the industry. And I think that's because we've used a multifaceted approach to recruitment. We haven't just relied on 1 or 2 sources. We are probably at 10 different sources of recruitment to ensure that every year our students have high quality staff in front of them, but we appoint the staff that we feel that will really enjoy working for us as well.
How would you rate your overall experience with Socially from initial implementation to ongoing support?
So I think we've been growing with Socially. I think that's been a direct partnership, as in the early stages of working Socially, it was a new process for both of us. I think we've both reflected on that process about how we can develop and grow. Even today we were talking about the next steps of social media, and we want to be part of that for the long-term future of our school, and I'm sure Socially do too.
How has Socially impacted Kings Langley School's team productivity or efficiency?
So Socially's allowed us to have, as I've said, a multifaceted approach to recruitment. It has meant that we aren't having the headaches that some schools are facing of trying to find teachers at last minutes. We always have a field, and in Hertfordshire that's really difficult, and that isn't always the case. And I think because of that multifaceted approach, Socially has helped us make sure that every year we've been fully staffed with qualified teachers in their subject specialisms. And the teachers join us because they want to work for us, because they understand our brand and understand our vision.
Would you recommend Socially to other schools?
I think if you're not using social media, you're behind the curve and you're going to struggle. So I would highly recommend using Socially to go forward. So Kings Langley School is a school of real passion and drive, and it resonates from our motto and ethos around unlocking potential for all of our stakeholders. We truly believe at this school that every person has great potential, and it's our job as an employer to support our teachers developing their potential, but our students developing their potential, and our parents developing their potential. And we believe that from the very first day. And it all resonates from our character education programme, and it resonates from 3 values. There are many values in our curriculum, but obviously the first one is self-regulation, stickability, we both know what that means, but also empathy as well, and putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And the empathy side of things is where our wellbeing programme for staff really resonates. We understand it's a really hard place to work in schools, and we want to make it as easy as possible to come and work as an employer. So every week we have wellbeing focuses for staff that are fun, enjoyable, engaging. They range from breakfast on a Friday to silk painting, to samosa making, to book clubs, to sports clubs, to sessions with senior leaders around how we can improve our school. And we are really iterative in that process. We evaluate it almost weekly, and we make sure that the feedback from staff goes into implementation from day one, because we really believe at this school, if we have a happy, healthy workforce, we will ultimately be a happy, healthy school, and we will ultimately then unlock the potential of all of our stakeholders and achieve our aims and vision. Kings Langley School has a very clear motto and ethos around unlocking potential. We truly believe that every individual has great potential, and it's our jobs to unlock that together. We also believe about a happy, healthy workforce, and that's why we take well-being of teachers and staff incredibly seriously at the school. Every week there's always something, and we're always working on being better for our staff, because we truly believe of a happy, healthy workforce.